Hi friends, thank you so much for joining me here today. Welcome to Life Sweet You Cake It. Today I am going to be showing you all how to make my froggy cookies that went super crazy viral on TikTok a little while ago. We're going to be making these gluten-free and vegan today, but you can absolutely make them with more conventional ingredients like wheat flour, butter, and eggs. These little froggies are made of sugar cookie dough. It is a super simple recipe, and if you follow all of my steps, you're going to end up with the perfect little froggy cookies each time. Here are the ingredients that you're going to need today. Before we get started, it is always super important to make sure you put your hair back, if you've got very long hair, into a ponytail or a bun, just to make sure none of those pesky little hairs end up in our dough. All right, let's get started. We're starting off with our plant-based butter. We want to make sure that our butter is at room temperature. That makes it a lot easier to work with when we're creaming it together with our sugar and prevents there from being any cold lumps of butter in our final dough. Next, we're going to add our sugar into the bowl. If you are using regular eggs in this, you'll want to add all of your sugar right away, but since we are using egg replacer, I like to keep a little bit of sugar aside for the next step, and you'll see what we do with that. But we're just going to be creaming our sugar and butter together. We don't want to incorporate too much air, so if you are using a stand mixer, you'd want to use the paddle attachment on a low speed. And as you can see, our butter and sugar are nicely creamed together. Now we're going to make our egg. So I'm taking that egg replacement powder and putting it into the bowl with that leftover sugar. What we're going to do is whisk that together. That helps to eliminate lumps in our egg replacement powder since it is starch-based. Now we are adding our water in 3 small additions, and you want to make sure that your water is at room temperature as well, whisking really well in between each addition. Great, now we're just going to let it sit to thicken, and we're going to add our ½ teaspoon of vanilla while that sits. Now we're going to add our egg in 3 additions, and that's to make sure that our butter mixture stays nice and homogeneous and does not split. Now that everything is nicely mixed together, we're going to add our flour, baking powder, and salt that has already been sifted together. And we're going to just gently incorporate that into the butter. If you are using a stand mixer, you want to start that off on the lowest speed so it doesn't cause a big cloud of flour. So after a little while of stirring, you can see that it has come together really nicely. What we're going to do now is separate this dough so we can add our food coloring. A large portion of it is going to be green, and then a smaller portion is going to be made pink. That will be for the little hearts that our frogs are holding. You can use whatever kind of food coloring works best for you. I have chosen my Wilton pink food coloring. I'd added a little bit to start, realized it wasn't enough, so I've gone back in to get a little bit more. It's always best to start off with a smaller amount of coloring than too much, because you can always add more, but you can never take it out. Then you're just going to want to either use your spatula or your hands. Now I would recommend wearing gloves if you're going to mix it by hand. Just mix it together until it's nice and fully incorporated. For the green, I've used Americolor avocado food coloring and also some Wilton lemon yellow. I find that the combination of the two gives me the perfect froggy color. And again, we are going to mix it together either with our spatula or by hand. I ended up switching over because it was a little bit of a big amount of dough to use the spatula on. And you just knead it together until the color is nice and consistent all throughout. Next, we're going to be rolling out our dough. I like to roll my dough in between parchment. You could always roll it on a floured surface, but if you do it that way, you run the risk of incorporating a little bit too much flour, and incorporating more flour will definitely affect the texture in the end. I find rolling between parchment gives you a lot more control as well over the thickness, because you can always pick up your sheet, run your hands over it and under it to make sure everything is an equal thickness. Next, we're rolling out our pink dough, just using the same steps as we did for the green. I like to roll the pink dough out just slightly thinner than the green because it will be sitting on top of the cookie. We're going to get our doughs into the freezer for about 20 minutes to chill before cutting out our cookies. Once the dough is nicely chilled, you're going to take it out of the freezer. I start by only taking out one dough at a time. We're going to peel the parchment off of the top and the bottom, and that helps to prevent it from sticking when we're lifting our cookies, and you can also use that bottom piece of parchment to help you lift the cutout cookie as well. Now I am using my bear/froggy cutter that I had designed to cut out my cookies. I will have a lot more information about these cutters very soon. You can absolutely check for updates on my TikTok or Instagram. So for now, I'm just cutting out 6 little froggies. You can always re-roll your leftover dough to cut out more. Now that our little froggies are cut out, we're taking that pink dough out of the freezer, peeling the parchment off of both sides, and cutting out our little hearts. And you're just going to place your cutout hearts right on top of the froggy cookies. The last step in assembling our cookies is actually to fold their little arms up to hold the hearts. Once you're happy with how your little cookies look and the frogs are holding their hearts and they're all ready to go, we're actually going to put our cutout cookies back into the freezer for about 20 minutes to firm up nicely before we put them directly into the oven. Our oven is going to be preheated to 320 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to bake them for around 8 to 10 minutes in total. Once our cookies are cooled off, we're going to pipe on their little faces. There are a couple of different ways that you can melt your chocolate, one being over a hot water bath in a bowl, or you could easily do it in the microwave. If you do decide to melt your chocolate in the microwave, please make sure to check it very frequently and to not microwave it on a high power for a long amount of time, because we definitely don't want it to burn. Once you're happy with their little faces, it'll be time to melt our white chocolate. You'll want to follow the same steps as you had for the dark chocolate, definitely making sure that you don't microwave it for too long. Once it's melted, then you'll mix in a small amount of pink food coloring until it's the shade that you like. And there you have it, our perfect little froggy cookies. If you follow all of those steps, you're always going to end up with the most perfect little frogs every single time. Please feel free to leave me a like if you enjoyed this video. I always do appreciate it. If you want to see more tutorials from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel. If you follow this recipe and want to let me know how it goes, please feel free to leave me a comment. If you post about them on social media, you can also tag me. My Instagram and TikTok handles are going to be in the description. I just always love to see what you all create from the recipes I provide you with. Thank you again so much for joining me here today. I hope you all have a fantastic day and that you have a ton of fun baking along to this tutorial. And we hope to see you again here really soon. Bye!